spell mosaic, a gift from the Transport and General Workers Union of Great Britain. Another picture of Chavez. Chavez had to answer a lot of questions from farm workers to convince them to form a union. Before I start reading this next part, I want you to think of why some of the workers might not want to or be afraid to join the union, even though they obviously want to be paid more and have better conditions. But what could make them afraid, do you think? Chavez and a small group of helpers worked hard to start the union. Some workers were scared that other owners would not hire them if they joined, so that's one reason. Chavez told them a union could make owners treat them better. Because Chavez had worked in the fields, workers believed he understood their problems. Many workers joined Chavez. In 1962, they started the National Farm Workers Association, NFWA. The Grape Strike. In 1965, grape farm owners in Delano lowered workers' wages. The NFWA stood up to the owners by going on strike. This is important. The union members refused to work until owners gave them better wages and working conditions. Fact, Chavez believed anything was possible with hard work. His favorite saying was "Si se puede," which means yes, it can be done. Fact, during the grape boycott, as many as 17 million Americans stopped eating grapes. 17 million. The owners would not listen. Chavez decided to ask the government for help. With about 100 members, he marched 300 miles to Sacramento. Although the governor did not respond, the march was a success. It brought the workers' needs to the public attention. The union used this attention to ask Americans to boycott grapes. The boycott caused many owners to lose money, because as we said, we're here, it was 17 million grapes. So many. And think about how long 300 miles is. You hear, it was a success, and it brought the workers' needs to public attention, because that means that a lot of people didn't know that this was going on if they were not workers themselves or did not live in that area. They did not realize the injustice. A nonviolent fight. Let me make a connection here. I remember at the beginning, I highlighted that his dad taught him to not be violent. So let's see if I can find that. It was his mom. She also taught him to never use violence. So I have a connection here that it seems like it was nonviolent because of what he learned from his mom. Connection here. All right. Farm owners were not happy that their grapes weren't being picked or sold. But instead of talking with their union, owners got angry. Some owners hired people to attack union members. Chavez marked in picket lines with other union members during the grape strike. There's a picture there. Chavez believed arguments should be settled without violence. To remind the union to stay peaceful, Chavez started a fast. Chavez did not eat for 25 days. He became very weak. Other members had to work together to keep the union going. Chavez's fast succeeded in bringing peace to the union. Victory for workers. After 5 long years, the grape strike ended. The boycott had hurt the owners. To stop the boycott, several owners agreed to improve wages and working conditions. Victory did not come without cost. During the wage, the workers didn't earn wages. Chavez said about 95% of the workers lost their homes and cars. That is a lot right there. 95% of the workers lost their homes and cars. But the grape strike ended, and they did improve their wages. So things got better, but there were some definite downfalls and things they had to suffer through as well. Quote, "Because we had suffered and we were not afraid to suffer in order to survive, we are ready to give up everything, even our own lives, in the struggle for justice." More work to do. During the 5-year grape strike, the NFWA went through some changes. In 1966, a union called the Agricultural Workers Organizing Committee, AWOC, was trying to help Filipino farm workers. The AWOC had gone on strike in Delano too. In order to help all the migrant workers, the two unions joined together. They became known as the United Farm Workers, UFW. Chavez was chosen to lead the new union. In the 1970s, with the UFW behind him, Chavez again asked California's government for help. In 1975, he got it. The legislature passed the Agricultural Labor Relations Act, guaranteeing farm workers the right to organize into unions. The United Farm Workers celebrated their success. While Chavez was their leader, the UFW signed many contracts with farmers. So we got to highlight, in this section. You highlight first, and what you think is important. This new union, I think, is important. That they're trying to help all different groups now, too. And they had two unions joined together. And Chavez is the leader right now. Now he's getting the California government involved. That is important. Here's some pictures of him. All right, pesticides. Think about what you know in your brain about pesticides already. During the 1980s, well, think about the word pesticides first. Pest is, part of the word is used, something that bothers somebody. To pest or pestor. In this case, we're talking about mice or insects or things that eat crops. And icides means to kill. During the 1980s, Chavez tried to change the use of pesticides on crops. These chemicals could make farm workers sick. In 1988, he fasted for 36 days to protest the use of pesticides. Many people asked the government to make pesticides against the law. The government made harmful pesticides illegal. If you think about it, these were meant to just kill the pests that were trying to eat the plants, but they were so strong that they were not good for the people either. So that's why he was protesting. Chavez asked Americans to boycott grapes again in the 1980s to fight the use of pesticides. Chavez on the job. Chavez did have some problems of his own. Sometimes he would argue with people. Some people complained he was too bossy. Chavez's job wasn't easy. He didn't make much money and he was often away from his family. Years of farm work made his back hurt, but he never stopped helping workers. Think in your brain what his motivation, why he never stopped helping farm workers, and write that down. Quote, "Nonviolence is hard work. It is willingness to sacrifice. It is the patience to win." The union wasn't always successful. Sometimes Chavez got frustrated. But you can relate to that. Even when you're really passionate about something, things can be hard and can be frustrating. Champion of workers. Chavez led his union for more than 30 years. He helped make life better for thousands of farm workers, but he never used violence to reach his goals. Even after he turned 60, Chavez continued to work. But his body slowly began to tire. During the night of April 23, 1993, Chavez died in his sleep. He was 66 years old. A real hero. Thousands of people came to Chavez's funeral. They marched in the hot California sun to pay their respects. Leaders from around the world sent messages. President Bill Clinton called Chavez a real hero. Quote, "The fight is never about grapes or lettuce. It is always about people." That is important. All right. Living on. In 1994, President Clinton honored Chavez with the Presidential Medal of Freedom. This is awarded to the country's highest honor for good citizenship. Chavez was the second Mexican American to be given this honor. People continue to remember and honor Cesar Chavez. Many cities have schools, parks, and libraries named after him. His face is on a U.S. postage stamp. But most important, the union he led continues to help farm workers have better lives. In 1994, Helen Chavez accepted the Presidential Medal of Freedom for her late husband. Quote, Cesar Chavez left our world better than he found it, and his legacy inspires us still. From the Presidential Medal of Freedom presentation. All right, you should have lots of things marked up on your paper now. So when you start to answer your questions, I want you to go back and look at everything that you marked up. I challenged you earlier to mark up and write more things on your paper. Did you succeed? Did you beat me? And did you make quality highlight? And did you really notice critically? Reminder, you're going to have to look back in your text and reread things in order to properly answer the questions. I know some of them might be harder to